This is John Black, Super Chemist. I'm here to show you how to make some ethanol, which most people call acetaldehyde. It's through chromic acid oxidation. Now, if you want to see the actual experiment, go ahead and flip to the middle of the video because I'm going to go over my stoichiometry. Here is the equation. You can see I got my molar amounts, and I did a video on how to figure out moles if you need to know that. So I multiplied all the molar amounts by how many moles they want me to have. I got 3 moles there, 4 moles there, 1 mole there. I multiplied them all so that I can get what I need to make 168 milliliters of methanol or ethanol. Now I only want to use 10 grams of dichromate because it's stuff that takes a long time to make. So I figured out the percentage I would need, which would be 3.4%. Which I would take down to a decimal and multiply everything by that so I get my amounts. So I didn't need 5.9 milliliters of alcohol, 10 grams of dichromate, and almost 8 milliliters of sulfuric acid. Okay. Now I want the sulfuric acid to be 1 molar. All right. I want it to be dilute. So I go down here to see how much water is in my ethanol. It's a 40%, it's 80 proof, so I divide by 0.4 and I'd get 14.75 milliliters. I would like to double that so that over-oxidation won't occur as often. You know what I mean? If there's a whole bunch of ethanol floating around, the chromate has a better chance of hitting ethanol than it does ethanol, because if it hits the ethanol, once it's already oxidized, it will oxidize it a second time to ethanoic acid or acetic acid. So I double it by 2. I get 29.5 milliliters. Might as well say 30. So that means 18 milliliters is water and 12 milliliters is ethanol. Alright, now I want a dilute solution of acid. Usually that means 10% if they don't specify. 9 out of 10 times you'll be right. Of course, that 10th time you'll be wrong. But I'm going to put it at 10%. Now, sulfuric acid, we said 7.89 milliliters. I'm going to say that I have a 93% concentration. Now, if you have higher, if you have 98%, divide by 0.98. I divided by 0.93 and I got 8.5 milliliters. That means I need to pour out 8.5 milliliters out of my bottle of acid for there to be 7.89 milliliters of acid, because there's going to be a little bit of water. Now, if I want a 10% solution, I take my 7.89, if that's 10%, then if I multiply that by 9, I'll have 90%, which is the water, which is 71 milliliters. Now, we already discussed that I have 18 milliliters from my VODKA, so I minus that, and that tells me how much water I need to add, which is 53 milliliters of water. All right, now from left to right, I have 53 milliliters of water. I have 8.5 milliliters of sulfuric acid and 10 grams of dichromate, potassium dichromate. I'm going to mix them all together and make some chromic acid, and that will be my oxidizer. You can see it's turning more orange, and eventually it'll turn a red. So we're just going to let that dissolve, and we'll get back to you. We got our chromic acid. We're going to drip into our ethanol that's in here. Okay, and you can see it's reddish orange. When it comes down here, it'll turn green. That's why I want you to see this. I'm going to heat it up as it goes so it can distill. It'll come up here and come down here. Alright, I have
have the water at 50 degrees Celsius. Hopefully that's enough. I'm going to start dripping a little in. You can see it's starting to turn green a little bit. Well, subtle heat isn't working, so I took the water bath off. I'm actually giving it some heat. Have a hot plate up to 111°C. Alright, I can't get nothing to come off, so I'm just jacking up the heat. I don't know if it's because I'm making so little or what the deal is, but nothing is coming off. Nothing. You can see I got it really coming out now. I could smell it now. Taking off that equalizing funnel. It's starting to come up too now. There's what I got. That's a 50 milliliter bottle.
You can barely distill alcohol with a water bath, let alone just warm water.
Now here's my setup. Obviously I shouldn't be able to distill this if it's alcohol or if it's water.
So I'm going to raise this warm water up. I got the receiving flask. See how it's got ice in there. That little puddle right before the condenser, you can see it right there. That's my entire yield. That's it, those couple milliliters. So I really botched this. I don't know if it's because I don't have the stir bars, or maybe I needed to heat it up super hot. I don't know what the deal is. Always remember, science is great.